So this comes from the Coding to Kindness book. So my background is one of the mazes where you have to have the character get from the start all the way to the end. So what I did was first I used that image and set it as my background. So I left a track in front for my green screened actions. So then I have clips from myself in front of my green screen. So I actually started with this longer clip of myself down in the basement, and I would walk over to the green screen. Oh, some dirt there. And what I would do is do all the actions up front that I thought I was going to need to do. So wave at the screen, I'll start marching forward, then I will turn and march the other way, and so on and so forth all the way around. So that's the long clip. So the first thing I did was I took that clip and I split it into smaller clips, such as me waving. And you'll also notice not only did I go in and see the original there, not only did I go in and clip it, I went in and did the green screen removal, and I also adjusted the scale of my clip. So instead of it being large, I set it. So I selected my size based on the background image. So let's slide this over so you can kind of see what I mean. So I sized this to kind of fit the background image. I probably could have zoomed in on this a little bit or whatever, but I just tried to find like the optimal size for everything. So what I did was I set this very first clip before I went in and did any work on any of the other clips. So you can see here, what I did was I have a clip of me walking sideways. I have a clip of me walking away from the camera, sideways, away from the camera, sideways, away from the camera. And then at the end, celebrating. So what's interesting here is I actually do have clips of me walking to the left and of me walking forward. I just ended up not using them for this particular maze. So I do have clips of all the directions that I could use later on. So I put the first clip in here, and what I did was I had to take note of my animation details. So just like in the last clip, I had to choose my start and my end, and I had to make note of where my end clip location was so that my next clip would start at the end of the previous one. So it's the same, again, same process as in the space travel floating one, only I had to do this 5 or 6 times. So it was a little bit more involved. I had like a little pad of scratch paper where I wrote down the end points. And the other thing that I had to do was I had to take note of the size that I used. So in this case, the scale was 0.4. That way, any of my other clips, as I use them, they had to be the same size, otherwise that would be awkward. So when I went in here, I made sure that the size was set to 0.4. And then you'll see my start point was the same as the ending of the previous one. And then the end point, 466457, was when I went to my next clip. 466457 was the start, and then it ended at 444246. So you see, like I dragged it in, I had to place each piece separately. So yes, a little bit tedious, especially like the first time you're doing this, but once you get the process in place and you figured out, how to do it, not the what, how to do it, it does get a little bit easier. So this was my original clip here I wanted to show you of recording all the pieces. I can get rid of that. I went through, put in each piece, and then of course, what you always do is you go back and rewatch to make sure that the pieces fit seamlessly. So walking sideways, you'll notice the next one starts and then glide. So the animation is just a glide, but because I'm like walking in place, it looks very funny, very kind of Super Mario video game, retro video game. So I decided at that point, once I knew that my animation was working smoothly, I decided to go in to my audio and find just kind of a fun video gamey sort of audio. In this case, this one was called Rainbow Knockout. I dragged it down into the audio track. I clipped the end of it. And then as usual, I go in and I fade the volume at the beginning and at the end, just to make it a little bit more seamless. Bloop. And of course, whoops, got a little end piece there. And then of course, at the end, if it's all looking good, you got yay, whole thing looks great. you will go in and you'll finish. Now, I don't think I've talked about finish, so let's just talk about this briefly. Once I know that this is working okay, I clicked on that finish button, and now I can choose if I want to save as SD or HD. I could actually take this whole thing and save it as a GIF file. Now, in that case, I couldn't have my video game music. It would just be a GIF of me walking, and then it would loop, which is super cute if you were going to put this in maybe a slide deck or something where you wanted to just roll and repeat. I did choose to save mine as a video because I wanted to have that video game music behind it. So there's how you use that animation or glide function, a little bit more involved, a little bit more advanced by adding some more steps in there and combining lots of little clips. And you can do some pretty cool stuff here, like walk in a maze.